Welcome to Stories from the Museum of the Rockies Photo Archive. I'm Steve Jackson, the Curator of Art and Photography for the Museum of the Rockies. The Museum of the Rockies Photo Archive is a preservation and research collection of historical photography from the Northern Rockies region of Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. The archive collects and preserves photographs from the late 1860s to the 1980s, documenting the people, places, industry, and events of the region. The photo archive collection contains over 60,000 photographs, including the complete archives of several local and regional photographers. One of those photographers is Bozeman-based Joshua Crispin. Crispin was an important early Yellowstone Park photographer. One of the more interesting events recorded in the summer of 1874 by Crispin's camera in Yellowstone was an image depicting a sailboat constructed on the shores of Yellowstone Lake by Captain Eugene Topping for the purpose of providing transportation and tours of the lake. The Friday, July 31st, 1874 Avant Courier, a Bozeman newspaper, heralded the launch of the craft. Headline: Yellowstone Lake Navigation Company. This appears to the reader as being rather a heavy heading for this item, but the fact is, Commodore Topping has run up his pennant and his craft is now plowing where never a vessel sailed before. Harry Hoare informs us that the captain and his sailboat can be found on the west side of Yellowstone River at the front of the lake. By taking the old trail from Sulphur Mountain to the lake, it can readily be found. Captain Topping is an old sailor and knows his business thoroughly. A trip around the lake with him would be the most pleasant portion of the tour into the park. Crispin's photograph recorded the first female passengers to sail in the boat, Sarah Tracy and Sarah Graham, both of Bozeman. Mrs. Tracy wrote of the occasion in her diary. Quote, "At the lake we found Commodore Topping and his partners. They had completed a good-sized sailboat. The Commodore was waiting for ladies to ride in his boat. The first ones would name it. As both our names were Sarah, we readily agreed to christen the boat the Sarah. We had a fine sail across the lake and our pictures taken on board after the name was painted on the side. They had a nice camp and gave us the privilege of making some donuts and frying them in bear grease." Unquote. Joshua Crispin established a photographic studio in Bozeman, Montana about 1870. Crispin became one of the earliest Yellowstone Park photographers, photographing in Yellowstone from 1871 through 1874. For other early Yellowstone photography and Joshua Crispin photographs, go to the Museum of the Rockies Photo Archive at www.morphotoarchive.org. Stay tuned for more stories from the Museum of the Rockies Photo Archive. This is Steve Jackson saying so long.